Welcome to this episode from the Deliverance Network. In our last episode, we shared with you several spiritual and physical resources for protection in these times and times that are coming. And we're also going to share with you in this episode some more experiences that I've had regarding the illumination of conscience, regarding the remnant that many Catholic circles are speaking of, that God is forming a remnant that is going to be pulled apart and separated from the world. And another urgent warning from God the Father, from Jesus, that we do have to choose God, that the times are very, very urgent, and that we must prepare for the times that are coming, and not to be afraid, because we actually have the greatest place of safety once we choose God. So I'm hoping that you'll benefit from these experiences that we share with you today from the Deliverance Network. I'm going to share with you a dream experience, and this one had in it Sister Lucia, one of the visionaries from the, of course, well-known apparition of Fatima. And this dream of Sister Lucia was from March the 15th, 2008. And the scene of the dream experience was me helping people as they were being a little bit persecuted and sought by evil forces in the world. I'm not going to speak too much about coming times. I'm not preaching any of this to alarm people, but just to make people more aware of coming times that might be a little bit more difficult, and times that we have to be prepared for. And basically, evil forces in the world were seeking to harm people. And I've spoken many times that we do not need to worry. We need to put our trust in Jesus, and to trust that He will lead us to safety, and that God the Father will provide for everything that we need, but we must stay very, very close to our faith in these times. And I came as I was trying to help lead people to places of safety, and this, of course, is likened to the talk among Catholic circles, especially of places of refuge. And I came to an outdoor street in this dream experience, and I was shown then almost like a tape recording that was from Sister Lucia, who is now Saint Lucia of Fatima. And reference was made to the fact that her words were going to be important now for our times in the world, and that there was almost a moving vignette that I saw of Saint Lucia speaking and saying that it was her time and part of her mission now to be fulfilled. The time of Fatima, or words and warnings from Fatima, were somehow related to our times, and that it was going to be spread throughout the world. And I think it has to do quite a bit with the messages that Saint Lucia experienced from Mary, the Virgin Mother, of course, talking about how if we did not repent and amend our ways and have the world consecrated, that the errors of Russia would spread throughout the world, and that we would see more communism. So I have a feeling this might be somewhat tied to that, which of course we will see as things unfold. I've talked a lot about coming times and perhaps more government control, etc. And I think that we will see as things unfold how the warnings of Fatima very much fit into our times. I'm going to share a dream experience with you, this one from February 2017, and this one was a very long, elaborate, well-detailed dream that I really believe is likened to the spiritual journey because of the symbolism that is in the dream and the symbolism that I'm going to share with you today. And in it, I entered a large school that was like a massive building with a labyrinth of classrooms, much like the building behind us. And everyone who was created was asked to go through this school. It was definitely a school, or a place of learning, and a journey once one entered the school or the building. And it was separated into different stages or classrooms, and once you entered, you were definitely guided along a path, and you had no choice but to go through the entire path as you went through this building in different stages or classrooms. And as I moved from class to class, there were different things to learn along the way. And then one part of the dream was a very, very poignant, very much a focal point of the dream. And it was that once one entered a certain classroom, it was known that there was a monster in this classroom area that was definitely going to be trying to target people more. And I really liken this, of course, to Satan and the spiritual attack and the heightened awareness and growth that one has once that they've realized God is real, that our life here is a spiritual journey, that we're destined for heaven. And once we do decide for God, definitely Satan steps up the attack, but the truth is we have nothing to fear because we have actually stepped more out of his grasp. It was shown particularly in this dream experience that many people get caught a little bit in that part of their spiritual growth where they become a little bit more afraid of realizing that, you know, Satan is real and the dark side, and they kind of get frozen or they get stuck in their spiritual journey. And so this is part of my role as I sense it from God, is to help people along in the spiritual journey, to help them in growth, to help them in their deep intimacy with the Lord, and to help them to not fear, because fear is of the dark side. It is of evil. It is of Satan. It's definitely a representation of what he tries to trap us in, fear. And we see much fear right now in the world with this pandemic that we are all trapped in. So that is a big part of the dream experience I want to focus on with you today, is that we are not to remain trapped in fear. We are to trust. We are to trust God the Father through no matter what circumstances he puts us through, because it is part of our journey and it's all very planned for us. So I was shown that I had to help people get a little bit unstuck and get past fear and move along in their growth and their learning so that they can actually come closer to God, to be more at peace, which is of God, and to grow and become more united to God in the spiritual journey, and basically develop themselves more and be more ready for heaven at the end of the journey. And as this continued, I went into another segment, and in there I was particularly helping widows and orphans. Do not ask me why, but of course we are asked to help the widow and the orphan, and this is a part of the biblical call, is to help others. So that was a big focus of the dream, was to help people move along and not be afraid. And I challenge everyone to not be afraid with where we are at in the world today, or even with the messages I'm sharing with you, the things God has shown me. We are not to fear, and I don't want you to fear because of what I'm sharing with you or have in the past, and especially with coming things that I have to share with you in the future. We are to trust, and love. But what I saw as we came to the end, everyone had to follow this path. There was no way out but through, essentially, and that's that journey from life to death. There's no way out but through. But I was shown as we come to the very end, sometimes it happens very, very suddenly that we come to the end of our journey. And what I was shown, I came into a large auditorium, and as I entered this auditorium, I was shown there were angels everywhere. And it was sort of that end of the line, and they were there to help people to move at the end of their journey, their spiritual journey on earth, their life, to be transported basically to heaven. That's the destiny that all should strive for. And I was shown that we were never alone. It was never what we thought. We thought we were alone and we were going through all of these different classroom stages of growth. But actually, angels have been with us all along at every stage. We have never for one moment been left alone. But this journey and this school, this testing, is part of our test for heaven. And that it has become a very important thing for us to know that we have angels with us. We were never alone. We were always guided, protected, but we always had to choose that because we've been given free will. And the angels were given to us by God so that we could proceed through that race that St. Paul talks about and finish the good race. And this is actually a dream that I liken to that good race that was described by St. Paul, and that it was all set up actually as a test. The only way out is through, and it is the spiritual test of our life here on earth. And that's why I urge you all, do not fear, but walk courageously through your spiritual journey, your life here on earth. Trust and know that we have angels working for us, God the Father, Jesus, Mary, behind the scenes all the time.